another episode of Voices of Hult, but this time is a different episode, guys, because we are in San Francisco. We are recording with Dean Barbara. Who better could happen? We could open this episode, and we are in the San Francisco campus. With Maz here, we managed to, as promised, to create here a team and start our recording. So thank you very much, Dean Barbara, for staying here. And again, thank you very much for all the Voices of Hult team that made this possible. And I will say, Dean Barbara, please introduce yourself.
Thank you. I'm so grateful for this opportunity. This is so incredible. This is so exciting. So yes, I'm Dean Barbara, or Barbara, right?
Yeah.
So San Francisco campus, it's probably the best campus.
No,
I
heard about it several times.
Just kidding.
You have to come here to see it yourself.
Hard to argue about it, seriously. It's pretty great.
The weather, right? Look at this beautiful fall day. We've got a cruise ship behind us.
And it's the 31st of October now.
Yeah.
And it's like a perfect
Halloween.
temperature.
Yep.
Yeah.
Halloween party coming right outside of the door here.
Exactly.
But, thank you for having me.
Of course. And Dean Barbara, please, we're going to talk to so many students.
Sure.
And they always look at you as a dean, of course, as you are. But we want to understand better, who is the person behind that title? Who was, for example, Dean Barbara when she was a student? What was your dreams and hopes about it? About your careers, and have you ever thought to become a dean?
Yes, it's just kind of happened by accident a little bit. Now more intentional, but I'd have to say, so myself as a student, I was very much an introverted child, and we moved a lot. And I think because we moved a lot, I evolved as a person that adapts to change well, and then change is comfortable, right? So that evolved as a strength over time in my professional career. Not so much in my personal life. Sometimes I would, incite change too often, but I'm very comfortable in change because of my earlier life. And I went to a different elementary school every year. And
that's a lot.
Yeah, and so different neighborhoods of San Francisco. So my first neighborhood was in the Mission District, which is the Latin district. Second neighborhood was in the Richmond. At that time, it's still primarily, I would say, Asian and Russian mix. And so that was my second elementary school, and that's where I learned to dance Irish jig because my babysitter was Irish. Learned how to play Chinese jump rope because all my friends were Chinese, and so San Francisco gave me this upbringing that was quite diverse just by default, right? Learned how to roller skate really fast downhill. So I'm in my personal life, I love speed, fast cars, fast boats, jumping out of planes, anything with fast.
Adrenaline.
Yes, fast. Okay. So because of our heels, I think maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know. But but as a child, as a student, I was a mediocre student. But one of the challenges I had was, as I shared, my grandparents were immigrants from Brazil. Some of you might have known, I mentioned that during immersion. So literacy was a challenge for them. So I didn't really always have the support until later in life. When more around high school is when my home life was a little bit more structured, and then I was able to, I was very into English and history, and I love those topics. So I was a mediocre student. I kind of didn't really know what I wanted to do. I really didn't have a real focus until I evolved later in life. I was a late bloomer. Okay. I had a sense of what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a backup dancer for what was that show in Living Color? Wanted to be a backup dancer for a band.
Okay.
My family was like, we don't think so. But yeah, that was one of my areas focuses.
But I think actually that all of those different challenges and actually the flexibility and being that I would say adaptable, having the ability to adapt is a skill that all the Hultians do. like you enter here to class and you have people from different countries speaking so many different languages, having, as you were saying, different skills, right? Maybe like learning the Irish dance. It's a skill that you have to have.
Right? I feel like I've gone full circle because from my upbringing to being at Hult, I've intentionally chosen Hult because of the innovation, that it's a constantly changing academic institution, and it does celebrate diversity. We don't just tolerate it, we celebrate it, we invoke it, and as you know, you're all students here in a global mindset. So
the whole cultural aspect, comes into play really big. Obviously it's my first year at Hult, and it kind of, it's so evident here, and the fact that you've been kind of living it for years here in San Francisco, the diversity, the different cultural mixes, that comes in really handy.
Right.
Yeah. Just understanding the student environment here, and it's all about exchange of experiences and meeting different people from different backgrounds. So it's amazing.
San Francisco is definitely a place where you can immerse yourself in culture, and it's not always rainbows and unicorns. I mean, the West Coast is where a lot of social activism, social justice reform takes place. So
of course,
so there's some brewing issues that we're frontline on. So.
But I agree with the fact of what you were saying as well, you both. But I suppose that San Francisco is like a place of many opportunities, like a city that offers a lot of opportunities in the tech industry, and many startups are on the way, like literally from campus. Silicon Valley is just like 1 hour away from here. So it's a great place to be. Right. Not just like to live in. I need to be honest, like sometimes the hills can be challenging because like when you see that you have to go in that place and then it's just like, okay, 10 minutes. And then you see that there is a big hill. You're like, okay, this is going to be the workout of my day.
No, it does. I mean, your ankles take a beating, trust me, but it's an amazing workout. I mean,
you guys will be ready for hikes later on.
100%.
Exactly.
No, but speaking of hiking, there's like so much here to do. There's, going across to even Oakland, there's hiking, there are so many activities that go on here in the city, and it's like the diversity just again hits you again, and that was also something that kind of brought me into the fray. I was like, wow, this is amazing, you got so much to do here.
Yeah, you guys even begun to touch so we have so many microclimates. So so for instance, I live in a city called Vallejo, right? I take the ferry back and forth, and it could be 56 degrees here, and then it'll be 86 degrees within a 35-minute drive. So
Fahrenheit.
Fahrenheit. Yes, Fahrenheit.
Because you're in America. Well, let me tell you about it.
All the units are different.
Yes,
exactly.
That's true.
But again, San Francisco is a place of many opportunities.
Unlike London, though, we drive on the correct side of the road.
True. I like this indeed. So we were talking about like Hult and why you chose it, and then like you became like a campus dean in 2022, right? So pretty recent, but like I wanted to understand better what is your responsibility, because every single time that I see Dean Barbara around campus, she's always smiling, always wearing this big smile on the face, and always I would say like be friendly and spend some time to really understand like the students, like stay there and even like a quick chat, but you feel that you're dedicated like to this role. So what does it intake? What is your responsibility, if you can ask?
Well, let me back up a little bit. So one of the things that I've never really shared, and I would consider myself a non-conforming dean, right? So as you shared, the deans in your previous life, it's very formal, academic, so forth. And I have the academic standing, I have the academic background, and so forth. But one of the reasons why I left, I shared earlier that I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do, what I wanted to major in college, so I didn't go straight into college right away. I actually got a job with Autodesk when Autodesk first started. And I got a job, my first job was in Latin America sales. And so and I was getting paid very well, and we was living in Sausalito, and it was a startup. It was such a fun vibe, and I really that kind of changed my trajectory on what I wanted to do or didn't want to do. So I got into software sales. and did that for about the first 5 years, and I didn't require a degree. I had to meet my metrics of sales and so forth, but and then I experienced burnout, and I really didn't know what I wanted to do until I traveled Europe and Latin America for about 6 months, and I came back hyper focused. So I took what Autodesk gave you, what was called a sabbatical back in the day, and I came back hyper focused that I wanted to get involved in education and make a difference. And my philosophy on education is rooted in what's called Paulo Freire or Freirean pedagogy, where it's really about not depositing lectures and information into a student. It's really a symbiotic relationship of helping masses become educated and transforming their lives to have autonomy over their lives. So if you look at some of the movements in Latin America, they were originated around agrarian reform and things like that from Paulo Freire. So it's really helping the poor become having empowerment to change their transformative experience, to change their lives through education, but who decides what that academic experience looks like? And instead of it being mandated down onto someone, it becomes created or co-created, right?
100%.
So that was the philosophy I had, and which inspired me to leave tech and go into education. So I went into elementary school education, working mostly with immigrant children, and that was my focus. And then by accident, over time, I had an opportunity I decided I wanted to leave elementary school teaching, and I had an opportunity to segue into higher education, where I would be working in an enrollment capacity. And so I was able to bring my sales background and my education background and merge it. Yeah. And so I was able to segue and help teachers become better teachers at the graduate level. And that was my first experience at Chapman University. And then from there, I evolved and worked. My second institution was the University of San Francisco, which is a Jesuit university here, private, Catholic. And I love that institution's mission also because they had a focus around, a global mindset, changing the world from here, and making sure that there was service learning. So there was active learning in the community and making the world. So the experiential experiences that student had to experience in the classroom, they actually had to defend it and demonstrate it in community service. So the Jesuit universities are some of the ones that I was drawn to because of the active learning and helping evolve and give back to the world, right?
I see. Well, so many universities that you went and then combined all those skills. I think that's amazing because as you said before, you didn't know where you would end it, but you started by doing something that of course led you maybe to a burnout, but led you discover all the other things around. Then
I'm actually curious. You mentioned the sabbatical. You're going away for 6 months to Europe and Latin America. And then you come back with this strong philosophy that kind of sets up the base for all of your educational career. What did you kind of experience during that 6 months that brought you back as this different person?
Yeah, I came back a little bit. I had almost culture shock when I came back because I hadn't really reflected on our environmental impact in the United States, so I was becoming very aware of how privileged or overprivileged the United States, the consumer market, the consumerism, and I thought this can't be it. This can't just be all that we're doing. There's got to be more to life, right? So while I was traveling, of course, I traveled with family. I went to Brazil to visit family, but when I went to Europe, I traveled alone. And when you travel alone, you reflect, you walk, you're in that space, and it just opened my eyes, and I allowed myself that space to kind of figure out what's my next chapter, And so it was...
I think actually to this point that every single student here at Hult maybe do feel that. Because like we are here in another country alone.
Right.
Of course, then you're going to find family, but that's like a chosen family. I've met like in Boston so many friends of mine that became family.
Right.
And that's still like more or less the same experience that you were saying. Traveling yourself, going outside, pushing yourself out of the comfort zone and just try to open your views and learning from other cultures as well.
Right.
Inside the classroom, there are 70, maybe 70 people from 30 different nationalities.
So many different nationalities. And the thing is, this whole idea, sometimes, as students, we kind of, we keep running, from one point to another. And by running, I mean, okay, if we finished high school, then we go to college. After college, we do an internship, we do a job, then we look at masters. We don't, sometimes we don't take time to, self-reflect and see, hey, what do I really want? What does my next chapter look like? Where do I want to go? What fulfills me? What matters to me most? And I think that really speaks to you. And that's a very core part of, who you want to become going ahead. And, the fact that you took that, you went and for 6 months and you took that that period of time and then you figured out who you were and you've come back and you've done this amazing work. I mean, I think that should be like a blueprint, for most students, taking the time and understanding who they are.
Yeah.
And imagine, indeed, like Hult combines having education while traveling.
Right.
Because having different campuses all around the world is like the perfect mix for having this kind of like experience while still studying and having a degree.
Yes. If I had it my way, I would, reform the whole education system and take down brick and mortar and have a classroom in a whole different environment. Every month. But anyways.
So why Hult then?
Why
you chose so many different universities. You traveled a lot as well. And then your background was different.
Yep.
Why did you choose Hult?
So Hult, one of the education, I can't speak for education in Europe or other parts of the world, but in the United States, the public institutions are very compliance related. There's metrics to be met. And then in the private institutions, you have a very stuffy kind of elitist sort of culture, right? And so to me, goes back to my philosophy, education is designed to empower, to help people mobilize or self-mobilize. And so I didn't agree with some of the attitude and the bureaucracy of why we were there to serve those students, right? So one of the things that what drew me to Hult was the fact that there isn't these, I will call them handcuffs, right? Handcuffs of faculty unions and handcuffs of unions and state and legislative, federal state mandates that really interferes with the job of educating students, with helping you mobilizing and become and transform your lives so that you can become part of a viable economy and contribute into society. So that is when I came across Hult and I was like, wow, this is, they revise the curriculum every year. It's so back to that, I love change, right? I thrive in change. And so it's an ongoing change every year. And one of the things that I appreciate the most about Hult is we survey all the students as far as which electives we're going to offer. That is like, oh my God, you know how hard that would be in a public institution, like the UC, whatever. I'm not going to name names, but I mean, each institution has its attributes. But I was ready for an environment that's really going to push the envelope and
embrace
really
change.
Embrace change, meet the students where they're at in a global setting, in a global mindset, and also push the envelope of what education looks like and what it can be, right?
Oh, yeah.
And we have compliance issues that we have to adhere to in London and in Dubai and so forth. But the way that our senior leadership, the way the culture of Hult, the people of Hult are truly committed, and the students, you all make it so dynamic. So each day is so different, right?
Right.
And so, and I can be my authentic self. I honestly, enjoy engaging with students, engaging with staff, and I'm not going to change who I am, right? It's like,
exactly.
It's that the whole thing of, there's admissions criteria, but there is an opportunity where Hult really propels the student journey from when you inquire all the way to when you graduate until you're in the job market. So we carry you through, and it's so nice to stay in touch with each other.
Nice. And you speak so passionate about your job. And now I have a question for you, really.
All right.
That's a question from our previous guest.
Okay.
And they asked, if you were not going to get paid for any kind of work that you would do in the world, what is the kind of work that you would pursue?
Ah, that's a good one.
So my
Very
dream,
on point.
I think about this every day. Back to like when I was in, during that sabbatical, what I would do is have a useless farm with animals, rescue animals, and just
amazing.
Hang out with the useless farm. Hang out in my useless farm.
So you will leave Hult.
If you let me work remotely with my useless animals and my useless farm, I'll stay.
Or we can have the farm close to Hult.
Yeah, right?
That's a project to implement.
And maybe a preschool on the side, because I love children and animals. So that would be my dream job.
Kind of expand Hult a bit.
Yeah. Something like that. You guys could come for the petting zoo.
Oh,
I will come for the
100%.
Help feed the chickens.
I'll come for the horses. I'm telling you.
I'm all in.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect. And yes, thank you very much, Dean Barbara, for having your time here. But before closing it up, I wanted to ask, if you do have a question for our next guest that you don't know who they're going to be.
Okay. I would say, what are your... The question I would have is, what is your red flag and what is your green flag?
Oh, wow.
Okay. What is it, like under
professional or personal?
I'm leaving it wide open. Let it be.
You know what? They can decide.
They can decide how they want to answer that question.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Mans, what will be yours? What will be your green flag?
My green flag?
I would say for Mans, the ability of always interacting with people and having, I would say this positive mindset that everything is possible.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that is...
Yeah. That makes sense for me. Yeah, as a green flag. Yeah.
I think that is a skill that many students here, I found it on many classmates of mine and many friends and even part of Voices of Hult now, and made everything possible. So
yeah. I mean, 100%. I mean, I
made you blush. Tell the truth.
No, I mean,
I thought it was for the next guest. Why are you putting this poor guy on the spot?
Had to.
Believe me, I'm put on the spot every day by her. So no, but on a serious note, I linked up with Lydia, and the kind of platform, the kind of initiative she's running for Hult students, whether just kind of informing the outside world what Hult is about, what we value, what life is about here, and that was kind of important to me because when I came in, all the information about the culture in Hult, the lifestyle in Hult, I got from Voices of Hult. And I wanted to be part of that, and I wanted to say that, hey, you know what, there are many others like me out there who are just joining Hult, who don't know a lot about it, but I want to inform everyone, and I want to kind of share all our experiences, We've got amazing faculty, we've got amazing alumni, and we've got people from 70 different nations here, and it's so diverse that, I was like, this needs to be shared.
Yeah.
Yeah. These stories need to be shared. These experiences need to be shared. And I was like, I'm all in on this. And I was like, yeah, this is it.
This guy knows the mission of Voices of Hult. He studies that every night. Well, thank you very much, Dean Barbara, for taking your time to share your story.
It was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, both of you. It's just this. I'm so excited you're doing this. This is just amazing. It gets the message out even more. So thank you. Kudos to you all.
And I don't think, for the opening episode of San Francisco, I don't think we would have got a better guest. It's Halloween, you're here. It's almost perfect. So
exactly.
Appreciate it. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
So bye everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
And see you.